Hi everyone, welcome to the last in our Mastering Ubiquiti six-part webinar series. Today we focus on the UniFi Protect app. Welcome back to those who have joined us for the previous episodes in the series, and hello to those who are joining us for the first time today. I'll quickly run through the agenda for today, introduce the team, and give a brief overview of Foregone and what we do. We'll then start the training. I'll start with the agenda. Today's free online training will give you hopefully an understanding of the history and product range of UniFi Surveillance, show you how to deploy UniFi Protect Appliances efficiently to optimize your surveillance setup. I discuss various cameras and its different functions, how you can integrate doorbells and UniFi Access to create a unified security system. We'll go over throughput and storage requirements as well, and how to secure your network and protect surveillance data. And we'll provide a live demonstration, of course, of the UniFi Protect app. Lastly, we'll have a Q&A session for you to ask all your related questions. I will shortly pass you over to Russell. I won't keep you too long and provide today's training. Before we start, though, I do want to introduce myself. Sorry, I've done this before and that you've been on the rest of the episodes, but just quickly, we'll go through the team. So my name's Rachel, as some of you may know. I'm the sales coordinator and account manager here at Foregone. And as sales coordinator, I help our expert sales team in utilising our established distribution network so that our clients can access the very best in wireless and communication hardware. I will shortly pass you over to Russell King. Russell is a fully accredited Ubiquiti trainer. He has worked in IT for over 15 years, and 10 of which here with us at Foregone, luckily. And providing many consultations, support and configuration sessions with our customers. And quite impressively, he has helped certify over 1,000 Ubiquiti engineers. Last but not least, I want to introduce Jake. Jake has been working in the Wi-Fi and networking industry for 10 years now, being certified with many different brands, including Ubiquiti, and he'll be helping us with the Q&As later on. So for those who haven't joined us before, just a little bit about Foregone. It's owned by Cadmus Distribution Group and was founded in 2010. CDGL owns and operates a number of established distribution platforms. So that allows us to gain access to the latest industry-leading wireless networking equipment. And this makes it easier for our customers to get hold of the right products and technology when they need it. It also allows us to remain competitive and offer exclusive deals and distribute these products globally. Although we have a fantastic relationship with Ubiquiti and are their largest UK distributor, we are truly vendor agnostic and are proud to work with many globally recognised brands, including Teltonica, Robustal, TP-Link, and many more. Our sister company, VoIP On Solutions, also has direct distribution agreements with many manufacturers of VoIP and telephony equipment. So that enables us to support our customers with a wide variety of communication equipment. However, as I said before in our last webinars, we're not just a distributor of products, we also offer expert in-house tech support packages. And are currently the only direct UK distributor for Ubiquiti that offers their Ubiquiti Training Academy qualification. So our Ubiquiti accredited trainers have to date, as I say, certified over 1,000 installers, support technicians and staff, and hopefully some of you here today. And I'll go through the course again at the end, just in case any of you who haven't attended wish to book that. And lastly, our distribution channels enable us to offer an industry-leading reseller program, project pricing, exclusive deals, and it enables us to give invaluable support to resellers and those working on those large-scale projects that support. So but before we start, we'll just have a quick poll, if you don't mind, answering. So what was your first experience with Ubiquiti cameras? So the options are, we've got the Air Vision Gen 1 and 2, UniFi Protect Early Access, UniFi Protect General Access, or yet to use. So if you could all vote on that, please. And while you're doing that, I just want to confirm that if you've missed any of our previous episodes, they are available to view online. So we'll send you over links as we have sort of after the other previous webinars where you can download them and go through it all again. So I think we're nearly there. Anyone else want to? I think it's looking like you're yet to use. So a few of you new to Ubiquiti's Ubiquiti cameras. So hopefully you'll find this really useful. Yeah, 43% yet to use. So Russell, we'll hand you over to you, and you can get started.
Thanks, Rachel. A bit of pressure for me then. We'll do the best we can. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our webinar on UniFi Protect, a camera surveillance solution from Ubiquiti. It's great to have you all on board. Before I delve in too much into the tech, I just want to go through some history of the Ubiquiti camera products, starting with AirCam and AirVision. UniFi Video was the first surveillance system offering from Ubiquiti. It provided a software NVR solution so you could download it and install it. It was called AirVision, and later specific NVR appliances running the same software. Alongside these, the range of AirCam cameras, including a dome camera, outdoor camera, AirCam Mini, they provided network-based PoE-powered surveillance with a similar kind of adopt and configure architecture to UniFi Network. This also linked to Ubiquiti's cloud-based service for remote viewing and management. But it wasn't really particularly secure from the point of view that it was kind of Linux-based and Windows-based, and they wanted to have a bit more control over that. So UniFi Protect was introduced around 2018, providing an appliance-only based solution and compatibility with Gen 2 UniFi video cameras, which were already existing at the time. And eventually, the AirVision solution and cloud service were discontinued at the end of 2020, roughly, in place of UniFi Protect. This had several advantages, including ensuring the security of the operating system and the NVR software, and development of a unified integrated solution across multiple UniFi applications, which we see now. Along with UniFi Protect's launch, several new surveillance products were introduced, including doorbells, PTZ cameras, 360-degree cameras, and some instant solutions, some of them with AI technology as well. Newer generations of cameras supported new features and accessories, such as increasing resolutions in infrared range and extenders on specific models to meet video surveillance needs in a range of environments and scenarios. Alongside the progression of unified video camera technology, a range of NVR appliances have been developed, covering scaling camera infrastructures and supporting either standalone NVRs like the UNVR or UNVR Pro, to integrated solutions like the UniFi Dream Router, UDM Pro, and the Cloud Key Generation 2 Plus, which provided enhancements to UniFi Access. So Ubiquiti offers several appliances that support the UniFi Protect NVR application, depending on the requirement. Starting with the UniFi Dream Router, it includes support for a couple of Gen 4 cameras, so it's only very small scale, as well as a UniFi network for SOHO and consumer deployments. You can add a micro SD. It has to have a minimum capacity of 128 gigabytes for storage of footage. And note that you can buy third-party Endurance SD cards for this use case. The Cloud Key Generation 2 Plus is a microservice style appliance and offers UniFi OS console supporting a wide range of UniFi applications such as UniFi Network and UniFi Protect. It comes with a standard 1 terabyte, 2.5-inch drive, so it's ready to record footage from the get-go. And notably, this device uses passive cooling, so you have to ensure it has a good airflow for temperature management, but it can support around 12 Generation 4 cameras. The UDM Pro and UDM Pro SE are appliances that have integrated gateways for UniFi Network, and therefore you can use UniFi Protect as an addition to an existing UniFi deployment on them. Now, or start from scratch if you wanted to. It has support for 12 Generation 4 cameras and a single 2.5 or 3.5-inch drive. They are great for small to medium deployments, and the special edition also includes an integrated 128 gigabyte SSD. Finally, you have the UNVRs. This is a purpose-built appliance that can support around 25 Gen 4 cameras. It offers 4 drive bays and RAID for drive redundancy as well. And it's great for deployment specifically for UniFi Protect. The Pro version offers an additional 3 drive bays over the standard UNVR and can support 5 more Gen 4 cameras over the original for a total of 30 simultaneous sources. It also supports a touchscreen for management and viewing of footage directly from the device if required. So let's look at the range of UniFi video cameras for UniFi Protect and their features and benefits. The bullet cameras are designed for indoor and outdoor use and feature at least 4 megapixel resolution. There are several variants of the bullet cameras, including the standard Generation 4 and Generation 5. These sport integrated IIAD rings and microphones, and they have AI event detection as well. There is a high-performance professional version with enhanced 8 megapixel sensors and 3 times optical zoom, which is great. There is also the AI DSLR. This is a great camera. It uses a professional lens offering three times optical zoom and a choice of 2 models providing wide angle or long distance viewing and AI enhancements as well. Looking at the UniFi dome cameras, these are great for indoor coverage ideally, and there are 2 different variants to choose from. The first is the G4 dome camera. It's great for ceiling mounting and can be mounted outdoors where it's protected from the weather to avoid spoiling of the lens cover. The camera also provides 102-degree wide-angle coverage and supports AI event detection as well. The AI 360, as the name suggests, it provides 360-degree coverage from a ceiling-mounted position, and it can also provide enhanced AI for people tracking at around about 4 megapixel resolution. There's a couple of compact cameras. There's the Flex, which is great for table and wall mounting, whereas the Instant camera, it features Wi-Fi connectivity for wireless operation, making it for a versatile surveillance solution. They're great, relatively cost-effective products as well. There are specialized cameras in the UniFi range. These are starting with the AI Theta, which is designed for interior design and aesthetics. It's a flush mounting ceiling camera. It's perfect for discrete monitoring, so interior designers would love that. The Generation 4 PTZ is another specialized camera from Ubiquiti with a robust build. It has a massive 22 times optical zoom and AI detection with pan, tilt, and zoom, as the name suggests, and almost 100 meters of IR night illumination as well. So it's great for professional indoor and outdoor surveillance of large areas. Finally, I want to cover a couple of the integration products. These are doorbells and UniFi Access. So the Generation 4 doorbells are powered via 2-wire AC, so to make use of existing doorbell cabling connected to the network via Wi-Fi. The professional model features an additional parcel tracking camera, and with the help of an optional accessory cable, you can wire it into the network using Power over Ethernet as well for robust connectivity. These can be operated alongside various accessories such as chimes, sensors, and floodlights, all within the Ubiquiti range. These devices can be integrated into UniFi Access and UniFi Identity as well, so 2 separate apps within UniFi integrated architecture, and they provide monitoring for entrances and building access as well. Okay, so we have the cameras. We need to now kind of get the footage over to the NVR. So let's talk a little bit about some of the theory of how that happens, starting with codecs, resolution, and bit rates. Before deployment, it's important to understand these requirements for the cameras and the NVR before you start your deployment. With this in mind, I want to cover some of the technical aspects of the UniFi Protect architecture and network-based surveillance solutions to ensure a given installation is efficient and performs correctly. So let's start with the codecs. Codecs are very, very important for actually transporting the data, the video footage from the camera to the NVR. A codec takes the digital footage and compresses the data before passing it over the network. This reduces the throughput requirement considerably, and there are several different codecs available for video and audio compression. The primary codec used in the industry is H.264, which is UniFi Video's choice for their cameras. It's worth noting that UniFi cameras stream all the time, regardless of whether they are being monitored or recorded. Next up is resolution. Most UniFi video cameras use 2K resolution, so 4 megapixels, with the exception of the Bullet Professional and AI models, typically using a 4K resolution. This is customizable in most cases to set lower streaming resolutions, which reduces the throughput requirements at the cost of footage clarity. Another consideration is frame rate. Frame rate affects throughput very considerably. It defines how many images per second are processed and sent to the NVR. The default is 30 frames per second, and it can be lowered all the way down to 1 frames per second. So it's a 1 to 30 difference. Depending on the requirement, adjusting this can have a major impact on throughput and requirements. But the key information can be kind of missed in the gaps between frames. So you have to kind of have a trade-off there. The image quality is the last consideration. As mentioned before, the codec compresses the image data, and as a result, some information is lost. It's very lossy, this type of compression. So typically, it has no significant effect on the visual fidelity of the captured footage. However, the compression of loss can be adjusted to reduce the amount of data being transferred over the stream, and will have a significant effect on the image clarity. So We need to kind of calculate the throughputs for this. All these factors result in data throughput, or bit rate of the stream data. For reference, the default settings for a 2K resolution bullet camera at 30 frames per second and the highest quality setting is around about 3 megabits per second. While different factors will have different effects on the bit rate, these can be approximated. So starting with the frame rate, you take the current bit rate and divide this by the current frame rate. Multiply this by the new frame rate and it should give you the new bit rate. The image quality, this will scale from 100% of the bit rate at the highest quality to around about 20% of the bit rate for the lowest quality. And resolution typically scales on a 1:4 ratio. So for example, using resolution of 2K to HD will result in a 75% reduction in bit rate, roughly. So a bit of an advanced topic, but it's something you definitely have to take into consideration, especially for larger deployments, is dynamic network loading, where the throughput can vary depending on the environment and the quality of the camera installation. So coming back to H.264, the compression of the data partly involves comparing the current image frame with the previous one. Where individual pixels or groups of pixels have not changed between the frames, this data is not required for retransmission, and therefore only changes in parts of the image are actually sent on the image stream. So this is a large part of how the compression works. This means for a static scene, the bit rate is very, very low, whereas if there's a lot of movement, the bit rate increases. As an example, in a school environment where the camera is installed in an external area, or for example, corridors or the playground, during class time, the throughput of the network could be relatively low. However, at lunchtime, when the halls are crowded and the playgrounds fill up, it'll result in a sudden increase in network load. So that's what we mean by dynamic network loading. Even a loose camera being moved by the wind can cause changes throughout the captured scene, and that can result in a relatively constant high bit rate. Even a spider's cobweb in front of the lens can cause high bit rates, which I should probably see when we get into the demo. So with this in mind, let's talk about storage and calculating the requirements for your storage. In UniFi Protect, there are 3 options for recording received footage. There's never, scheduled, and always. When set to always record or scheduled recording, the footage can be captured either recorded constantly to disk, or it can be put into continuous mode. Sorry, that is continuous mode. Recording only when it detects something is called detection mode. So these modes will have the biggest influence on storage requirements for cameras. Using default settings using HD quality, the average recorded footage requirements for continuous recording is 31 gigabytes per day. For 10 cameras, that equates to just over 2 terabytes in a week. In contrast, this could be reduced by over 75% simply by scheduling your recordings for, let's say, the business day, 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. Assuming 10% of that is actually recordings of events due to detections, the result is 51 gigabytes per week. Factor in reduction in frame rate, resolution where it's not required. It means that you can use a single terabyte drive and store 10 cameras worth of footage for many, many months. So with UniFi Protect, the appliances will use the drive as efficiently as possible for the storage of footage, overwriting the old disk recordings when the disk is full. And using this method is problematic using a standard hard disk or SSD, especially if the bit rate is being recorded at a high bit rate, as the drive will be working constantly and will eventually exceed the read-write design limitations of the drive. So let's consider both of these factors separately. The storage method, custom recording retention. So UniFi Protect allows you to define the maximum number of days worth of footage to capture before overriding older recordings. If this is set, for example, to use 50% of the capacity of the drive, the hard disks aren't likely to fail any sooner or later, as the mechanical parts of the drive are still working just as hard. In SSDs, however, this could be thought to double the lifespan of the drive, as it will not necessarily use the same section of the drive to write new data. It's a process called wear leveling. However, regardless of this, the same amount of data is being written to the drive over time, and therefore setting a custom recording retention duration should not really affect the lifespan of any given drive type. So it's recommended when using hard disks that you use a CMR drive. To shorten a pretty long explanation of this, CMR drives are the typical type of HDD and are built for fast read-write speeds, whereas SMR or shingled recording drives are designed for capacity. It may be tempting to pick the highest capacity drive available, which could end up being an SMR drive, so be sure to check the datasheet or tech specs for the drive before choosing. Ubiquiti have provided a reference for this, which I'll demo a bit later when we get onto the live demo. Choosing the type of drive you want to use should be fairly simple based on the above. So many drive manufacturers sell surveillance drives that are built to withstand continuous writing of data, as well as be able to transfer data at high enough speeds to record high bitrate footage. And you can go for SSDs. They are increasing capacity all the time. Generally, the larger the capacity, the less a given section of the drive is being written to over a period of time. So the main factors should therefore be reliability, write speed, and capacity. Increasing any of these will improve the lifespan and also suitability of the drive. So now we've covered the hardware elements of UniFi Protect. I'll cover some of the concepts relating to which cameras to use, where you should use them, and what to consider when deploying them. So you need to select the correct camera for the job, and it's not as simple as it looks. There are many factors to consider when choosing, and I'll cover some of these below. Disclaimer, we have not really covered the technical, well, we are only covering the technical aspects, of the subject based on limited research. We defer actual deployment considerations to surveillance installation specialists where you can, and we recommend following the official guidance as well as considering, for example, legal requirements and internal policies for your installations. So the first kind of thing to talk about is viewing angle. The viewing angle relates to the field of view of the camera. For example, in the top corner of a square room, a 90-degree angle camera would in theory cover the whole room. The same can't be said for a long corridor, however, as a large part of the view would be covering a nearby wall, resulting in wasted resolution, and therefore the clarity of the distant end of the corridor may not be sufficient. It may be better in cases like this to install a camera with a low viewing angle or optical zoom to concentrate the viewing angle into the spacings being covered. Alternatively, use a high resolution camera, and this could offset the difference in resolution for distant objects. As stated before, resolution will have an effect on details in the captured footage. Generally, the higher the resolution, the greater the detail captured at the cost of high bit rates and storage requirements. You do not necessarily need a high resolution, however, especially for small spaces or where the camera is not intended for identifying people or other objects. Indoor versus outdoor cameras. UniFi Protect cameras can be used indoors pretty much in all cases. For outdoor use, however, you do need to select the correct model where they're designed for the purpose. Care should be taken to ensure that you choose this properly. As an example, the dome cameras can be used outdoors. However, the lens cover is quite large and therefore can be soiled by particulates and minerals found in environments, for example, rain and dust. So ensuring it is deployed per the installation guide and under cover, well away from precipitation and sources of contamination is key. Where supported, UniFi Protect cameras have an infrared LED or group of LEDs that can light up the surrounding areas at night. There's a special cut filter that allows only IR light back into the sensor. This is especially useful where light sources such as street lamps can cause large differences in contrast at night. This is effectively blocked out by the filter, allowing for an even contrast. So, it's pretty good technology. The problem here is that reflective surfaces near the camera can overexpose the camera. Something as simple as a cobweb or nearby painted wall can cause issues, even out of shot, and especially if the lens is not perfectly clean. The IR LEDs are very, very bright, and therefore they'll cause saturation. Installing with clearance from nearby walls and insects is therefore recommended. Some UniFi cameras can be mounted with an IR accessory as well. This is just to increase the range of the night vision by simply flooding more IR light onto the scene. Security. So cameras can be a target for vandals and criminals. So positioning your cameras out of reach in high-risk areas can be useful. On the other hand, visibility of the camera can put off potential attackers from targeting the area. So a dome camera may be a viable option for the latter, whereas a bullet camera may be robust enough to handle the former. Right, so on to our live demonstration of the platform. First, I'd like to cover the setup of the UniFi network and users, In this case, we're using UniFi Dream Machine Pro, and we've used some of the concepts from the previous episodes for this setup. We've also pre-configured a doorbell and a UA hub to demonstrate UniFi Access integration. So let's jump into that. Give me a second. Okay, so this is the Dream Machine Pro we actually used in the last webinar. It's a UniFi Dream Machine Pro. First, we're going to look at users. In this case, we have 2 users here. You can always add more users via their UI account single sign-on access, or you can change their permissions as well. So in this case, we have Jake. He hasn't got any protect permissions right now, but we can set him to full management or view only depending on his role. And we can select the devices as well. So if we have individual devices, right now we've only got the G4 Pro in Protect, but we can set them to view only or full management on the individual cameras as well. So there's a bit of an option there for you. I want to show you how the network is set up as well. So we have our core switch, we have a G3 bullet waiting to go, we have a G4 Pro Audi on the system, and we also have a UA hub. We've created a Wi-Fi network in here called webinar cameras. That's been assigned to a virtual network, which I've called webinar security on VLAN 3. I've also added a traffic management rule, which is very, very important. This is just for local network to block clients from being able to get to our secure security network. That means that our cameras are secure from the clients on this network. So let's have a look through UniFi Protect, starting with the dashboard. In the dashboard, we get recent events. We have the system uptime, camera capacity. And you can see me walking around in the background there. We have a storage overview as well. In this little information tab, we can see that it's asking us to make sure we use a CMR drive. And clicking on this link will take you to a website by Ubiquiti, which will show you compatible models. So it gives you specific compatible models for UniFi Dream Machine Pro and other UniFi devices as well. So that's good for drive selection. In the devices section, we have our G4 Doorbell Pro, and we have a G3 bullet as well. I'm just going to click the dock button. This factory default camera should come online pretty much straight away. It might not come online straight away for you, especially if it's a Wi-Fi camera, because you've got to go through updates and things like that. With the cameras, they automatically update their firmware when you adopt them and over time as well. So let's give you a little bit of an overview of our G3 bullet here. And we have our overview. It'll show you the current bit rate for the camera. Bearing in mind the actual bit rate is going to be much lower than this. This will be an average. It depends if there's any movement in the frame or not. Recording mode. So with the recording mode, we have the global defaults, which I'll show you a bit later. We're just going to uncheck that, and we're going to decide when this camera records. In this case, we're going to have it set to record always, and we're going to base it on motion detection. So with motion detection, we can detect different types of motion, and we can set up detection record settings. In this case, we have number seconds of motion needed to trigger detection. So how much motion, or how long should motion be before it actually starts recording? When it does start recording, how many seconds before the motion should be captured? So it is capturing footage all the time, and therefore you can get maybe up to 10 seconds worth of footage before the motion was detected, as well as after as well. Here's your recording quality settings. So you have your frame rate, again, is from 30 frames all the way down to 1 frame per second. And you have your image quality here as well. We can also put some overlay information onto the footage. In this case, I'm going to use time, camera name, logo, and I'm going to use a nerd mode, which gives me some other information. There are detection and privacy zones. On this particular model of camera, you have motion zone and privacy zone. So in motion zone, I may, for example, only be interested in what's happening with the cars outside the property. So I can just edit that down to a small specific area. That looks great. And then save it. You can have more than one motion zone, by the way. So I could add another one, for example, and have that just covering the bottom corner. And then save that. Privacy zone, this is quite handy. So this will just basically blank out certain areas. So for example, we're not interested in what's going on over here, and we may have had maybe a business over there complain that they don't want to be recorded. So we'll just put in the privacy zone over here. And then it just literally blanks that section out. So if we go back to the G3 bullet now, actually, let's apply those changes. Have a look at the overview. You can see that that's been blanked out now. So privacy zone is very, very handy. So there's your recording modes. In the G4 Doorbell Pro, you get different versions, and for most of the Pro cameras, this will be the case as well, where you can have smart AI detection. So for example, people, packages, vehicles, you have a smoke CO alarm as well. And so in here, we can add things, for example, like a crossing line. I do apologize about the footage on this one. But we can have a crossing line. So for example, if someone passes from left to right or right to left, the map is for personal vehicles. Unlike we have a vehicle in this room, but you never know. We can add multiple crossing lines as well. And we have a smart detection zone as well, so we can track people and vehicles inside specific zones, as kind of where that motion is as well. It does work quite well, which we should be able to see in a minute. Finally, we have the settings for the cameras. We have the microphone. Something to mention here is that if you disable the microphone, it says disable permanently. It doesn't blow up the microphone. It just stops it from working until the camera's been factory reset. So just bear that in mind, and maybe add a push notification to make sure that someone knows when your device has been factory reset or has been readopted. There may be someone trying to factory reset so they can get the microphone. But disabling permanently just makes sure that you can't reactivate it until it's been factory reset. We have our night vision options as well. It's most worth telling you about the different modes. Auto will turn on the infrared IR and put in the cut filter automatically depending on the light levels, and you can kind of change that with a slider. Auto filter only no LEDs. This is where it puts on the filter and relies on using your own IR light sources to light up the scene. So this will be good, for example, if you do have a camera that is overexposed because of a nearby cobweb or wall or something like that. It's going to avoid that oversaturation, so you can have your own IR-LEDs a bit further away from the camera. Otherwise, you can use always enabled for dark areas, always disabled for light areas. You can also have camera sounds, so the camera can make sounds, and it also has a status light as well, which you can turn on or off. Very handily, you can share the live stream as well. So if you click this, and you can get a sharing link. Only one person can view the live stream at a time. This is a G4 doorbell, so we can change the message. For example, do not disturb, leave package at door, things like that. Or we can create our own new custom messages. We have some options for our chime, for example, mechanical digital. Because it's a G4 Pro, we haven't used the cable accessory, so we're just connected to Wi-Fi. And you can see I've selected webinar cameras as the Wi-Fi network for this. We have our settings for the real-time streaming protocol, high, medium, low, and package camera. So this particular model does have a package camera. It's kind of facing the chair at the minute, but you get the idea. I can zoom in on our image as well. Right now, the live view is in HD mode, but I can change the quality to high quality and it makes it look a bit better. We also have some camera settings. So this is where you can change, for example, the brightness, contrast, saturation, orientation. You have your A mode and your high dynamic range in there. One thing is lens distortion correction. So it actually corrects for the lens distortion. You can get a bit more angle out of the camera just by disabling that. Just give it a bit of a fisheye kind of view to it. Okay, so let's have a look at the live view section next. So in live view, it's just going to give me a quadrant kind of setup, so we can look at its individual cameras. We can click on a camera to increase the increase it to full screen, and then look at individual parts of the screen, which is great. Clicking again will remove it, and then we can go back in here, have a look at the world. Where are you today? Hopefully most of you are from around the world. Brilliant. And then we have playback. So playback is going to give you the ability to scrub through recordings that have been captured over time. With the AI detections and vehicle detections, you can see that it's captured specific vehicle motions within the last few days. Someone on a motorcycle there. With detections, it's going to give you the option to select people, vehicles, ring, package, and alarm. You can see I've been walking around, it's detected me a few times. One thing that I really like is insights. So where this camera has been outside for a little while, it's showing us where the main motion is. So this is a heat map of motions and how much motion has been throughout the day. So this would be good, for example, traffic management, people management within buildings. It tells you where the main bunch of people are around. So for motion, it's really, really great. UniFi Doorbell Pro will do the same thing as well. This is one we captured earlier. We have the system log as well, so we have critical admin activity, motion detection, smart detection events as well. So these logs are really, really great. And we have the system settings as well. So for example, recording retention, as I mentioned before, we can set a custom retention day. This is a number of days. It doesn't really affect the drive efficiency or reliability per se. It's mostly going to be for purposes of internal policy. And you can also have a schedule in there as well, so you can schedule when you want your recordings to happen and the kind of recording mode. For global recording settings, as you saw before, I disabled the global recording settings for a specific camera, but for the rest of the cameras, if they are using the global recording settings, these are settings they'll use. And we've seen most of these settings already. We can exclude specific cameras from the global recording settings if need be. System settings, so this will be, for example, bridge devices, so we can auto-adopt bridge devices. This is where, for example, you have a Bluetooth-capable UniFi access point and a Bluetooth-capable camera. The bridge device can be automatically adopted using that for Wi-Fi. Preferences, so for example, your time format and your temperature can be set in here, as well as migration. So for example, if you're going from a UDR and you've decided you need more cameras, so you want to get a UDM Pro, then you can download a file from here and then import that file to do a migration from a lower end device up to a higher end device, or vice versa. Recovery code is very important. So this is actually the camera password. So each camera does have a web user interface. You can get to it via just browsing to its IP address. And then you can use the recovery code, which is the password for the web user interface login. This can allow you to recover cameras should you have to reinstall Protect, or if you lost it for any reason. You do have the advanced section, for example, your insights, which I showed you before. You can also set geofencing, so you can place your, as long as you've set up the location for your appliance or your camera infrastructure, you can have a geofence. which just essentially allows you to set notifications when you're away from the building or nearby within the geofence or outside the geofence. And low latency video as well. So this is something that I think is really cool, actually. The latency with UniFi cameras these days for the streaming is around about a second, if not less. It's very, very low latency for the streams in live views. And finally, notifications. So we have our push and email notifications here. This will tell us about the system. For example, hard drive issues. It does measure performance dips and issues with the hard drives, so it will tell you about that. Device removal or configuration, that's another thing you may want to have an email or push notification for. And site arrivals and departures, which is really, really handy. It means that if someone with location tracking leaves or arrives, then obviously you want to have that push or email notification to say there's someone coming, open the door, something along those lines. Right, so the last thing I wanted to cover is integration with UniFi Access and UniFi Identity. So let's have a look at UniFi Access, which is another app from UniFi. On this system, we do have a device. We have a UA hub, which is called Webinar Door. So this is a door entry. This has been paired to a specific device, for example, the G4 Doorbell Pro, which is great. We can obviously keep this unlocked or lock it or whatever we need to do, but really key in here is the overview. We can click to unlock. And if we're viewing the camera in full screen mode, we can also click to unlock here, so we can zoom in on someone maybe. And then we can click to unlock the door. So the UA hub is doing its job perfectly well. And this does also integrate with UniFi Identity. We don't have UniFi Identity set up currently, but UniFi Identity, I can show you the app via video. In UniFi Identity, I don't know if you can see that, maybe a bit behind, but you can see in the top left corner over here, we have doors, so we can actually open and close doors from here, as well as view our cameras using UniFi Identity. So that's a really great piece of technology, great integration from them to make sure everything's kind of put into one place, so you can manage your network throughout. And the UDM Pro is a great device for doing all of that. Great. So I think that's everything that I wanted to cover for the live demonstration. Let's do a quick recap. So to recap, we have covered UniFi Protect as an appliance-based digital camera monitoring system. We have introduced a range of cameras available with UniFi Protect and their features and use cases. And we have demonstrated their use and configurations, as well as some of the integrations with them as well. As usual, it has been a great honor to talk to you today. I will now pass you back to Rachel, and I look forward to answering some questions very, very shortly. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Russell. I hope everyone found that useful. Before we move on to your questions, there's been quite a few. I wish to highlight some of our support packages, just in case you, and it sounds like you do, have some current surveillance projects that you're working on and you'd like Russell and the support team's assistance with. We've just launched our UniFi Protect training. So this is focused around this webinar episode and gives you one-on-one mentoring, live troubleshooting and configuration assistance. So if you have a surveillance project that you'd like to speak to Russell about and book this in and book the training in, you can simply click on the link at the top of the slide and you'll be able to get that booked in. But we also offer our premium support starter pack, and that covers an hour of dedicated email and telephone support, and that can cover again troubleshooting or coaching and configuration across all the different brands that we supply. And lastly, we offer our extremely popular Ubiquiti Enterprise Wireless Admin Training course. As I previously mentioned, Russell is our dedicated trainer for the UEWA course, and by attending the course in person, you not only gain the certification but get hands-on learning experience and knowledge of Ubiquiti's UniFi hardware and software. Our course as people coming across from all areas of the UK, even France, Jersey Island, we've got lots of people traveling because of the benefits. I mean, it goes through Wi-Fi fundamentals, network and device management, deployment, controller-based management, analytics, advanced management, guest control, and you can book this on our website. We've got lots of courses. We've got November, December, but we are for those of you that are attending the webinar today, we're able to offer a £50 discount for the October course. So if you are interested and you would like to claim your discount, just simply click on the top where it says find out more, or contact us, give us a call, email, and we'll just confirm your email address and we'll discount that for you. So just before we head over to the Q&As, I also wanted to highlight the benefits of signing up to the newsletter. We'll send out an email after the webinar with links to all the recordings on, and it will allow you to sign up. It just gives you all the information on, exclusive deals that we've got that cover Ubiquiti, their updates, their newest releases, information about future webinars, and about limited time promotions that we're running as well. So I really would suggest, if you haven't done so already, clicking on that and getting signed up. So because there's been quite a few questions, I want to move on to that quite quickly. So I think I'll hand you back over to Russell and Jake for that.
Thanks, Rachel, for the introduction. So, as mentioned before, I'm Jake. I'm the commercial support manager here at Foregone Solutions. I've been in the industry for about 10 years now. Thanks everyone for your questions so far. We've had lots of questions. I don't think I'll be able to add any more last minute now. So we've got quite a few to run through, but those that we don't mention, we have taken note of, and we will cover via email. We'll get you a customer response sent out later today. So Russell, we've got quite a few to burn through. So the first one we've got is from Adrian. This was towards the beginning of the webinar, so he was following along with his console and noticed that he's got a message regarding the flash storage. So the message that popped up for him was UniFi OS has detected the USB flash storage is approaching its read-write cycle lifetime and recommends that he moves all system dependencies to a hard drive. I mean, it's not one I've personally seen, but it depends on the device and it depends on the age. All manufacturers of storage will bake in a predetermined number of read and writes. It might not be where your device fails, but they will ensure that many cycles, and all that notification is doing is warning you that that baked in number has been reached, and they're advising that you move your storage somewhere else just in case anything happens. It's not necessarily that it's going to happen, but it is it's now reached that count, so it's going to warn you that that's a possibility. So the next question is from Martin. When configuring cameras, how do you apply blanket settings for recording modes?
Yep, so we did kind of cover that, but probably a little bit later in the demonstration. That would be your global settings. And I'll show you how to do the exclusions for that as well if you wanted to. So far as I'm aware, with UniFi Protect, it's automatically going to be in the blanket mode. Same as UniFi for global settings you can do for access points as an example. It's automatically going to be covered by the default global settings unless you exclude them specifically.
Perfect. Got another one from Adrian. This one is not so much our area because it's very, very focused in CCTV legislation, but I do have a rough answer for you. So when must you register as a CCTV operator with the ICO? Basically, if you're a business using CCTV, you have to. The only exceptions are for non-profit, personal reasons such as your household, or if you're maintaining a public register, something like that, any public work. But other than that, you will need to register with the ICO. Next one from Bob. Are the IR LEDs red, as in visible to the eye? And also, are there any ANPR offerings from Ubiquiti?
So I know the answer to this one relatively well. There's no ANPR as so far as I'm aware yet. is something that we are hoping they're going to bring along. With reference to the IR LEDs, there is a very, very faint red color to them, but that's nothing compared to the actual amount of IR light that they're actually putting out. Most IR LEDs and light sources will have a very faint red glow to them, but it's only very faint.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's noticeable if you're looking directly at it, but you're not going to see it really. It is very dull glow, and obviously not the light itself, not viewable by the human eye. So the next question is from Andrew. Do any of their cameras have speakers and microphone capability? Any active deterrent functions, i.e., a strobe or a speaker?
There's a couple of them that do have a light on them, I believe. Obviously, the Doorbell Pro that will have a light on them, which could probably light up if it detects someone coming close to it. My main thing with, sorry, what was the first part of the question?
Do any of their cameras have speakers and microphone capability?
Right. So yes, certainly the doorbells do. The Instant, I believe, does. I think some of the professional ones do as well. It'll be in their specification data sheets.
All of them, as far as I'm aware, have a microphone, speaker, a little bit more limited. I think there was some functionality there that wasn't utilised to the full. But yeah, again, that's all on the specs. So we'd have to check that one by one.
Yep.
From Tim, well, this is one I can answer. I suspect we've all encountered Ubiquiti stock availability issues over the past year. Is production distribution back to normal? The short answer, yes. It's stock is much more available. Backorders have all been met. Obviously, as new tech comes out, there are lead times on newer products, but no, we'd say we're back to quote unquote normal. Let's have a quick look. The next question is again from Adrian. Is it possible to have cameras installed in 3 countries which you can view with a combined view on one console in one of the countries?
I suspect you can put in a key into the web user interface of the camera, which will tell the camera where the controller is. As long as it has web access, and it'll reach out to UniFi Protect, and you can adopt it. Obviously, you're going to have some issues there. For example, latency, throughput issues, especially if your internet connection is slow. So it's worth bearing these kind of things in mind. Yes, you can. It'd probably be more suitable to have your a single NVR solution like the Cloud Key Generation 2 Plus on site, and then access to UniFi Cloud to access your streams individually. Therefore, you get the best resolutions and latencies as well.
Yeah, so there's a few ways to do that. As Russell mentioned, it's essentially layer 3 adoption. If you're familiar with the access points, there is a token option on the direct GUI for the camera where you can point it back at a controller, or yeah, you have all your consoles linked and you look at them account based, which is probably the most effective way. One from Martin: how do you move cameras between consoles?
Certainly, the very easiest way of doing that is to factory reset it or forget it from the interface, which I showed you the remove button. That will factory reset the camera, and then just adopt it on the new one. You can go into the web user interface of the camera via the web using the recovery code, and then factory reset it from there, or change which direction it's pointing in, but it's probably going to cause more issues than it's worth. To be honest with you, there's no real migrate camera kind of functionality so far as I'm aware. I've never seen it. It's going to be best just to remove it from the original Protect and add it to the new one in its factory default condition.
Yeah, so one I'll answer from Martin. Do you offer 2-year manufacturer's warranty on Ubiquiti kit? So in the UK, a year is extended. That is a standard warranty as per UK's legislation. That's what we honour, but we are working on an extended warranty policy and making that as reasonably priced as possible to cover up to 5 years for our customers. It's something we'll extend. So we are working on that. Keep an eye out. Sign up to a newsletter if you haven't, and we'll send news when we've got it. And the last question we're going to get around to today is the Protect, access, identity integration looks useful. Aside from the hardware costs, are there any upfront or ongoing subscription costs to run it?
Yes, there are. So for the most part, when you're going with UniFi, it's going to be free of licensing and subscription costs. That's going to be the case for pretty much UniFi Network, Protect, and Access. So far as I'm aware, with UniFi Identity, it's a completely different story. You do have to sign up to a cloud-based service. It'll give you 10 users for free. After that, you do have to subscribe. And you have to get some pricing for that as well from Ubiquiti.
Cool. So yeah, just the newer identity one. So that is all we're going to have time for today. We do have a handful more questions that we will answer via email after this webinar. So everyone's questions will be answered. Again, this recording will be available on YouTube. We'll send a link to the playlist along with our roundup email. Thanks everyone for attending. It's been great on this series. It's been, we've had some really good engagement. We will be planning some more webinars on different manufacturers. So again, if you're not signed up for a newsletter, please do so. We'll send out some information when we've got dates on those. And we look forward to seeing you there.
Great. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Cheers.